Most agents think multiple offers are about marketing. They're not.
Not because of pictures, not because of your amazing marketing strategy. It was just priced right. Buying a home is filled with lots of anxiousness and tension. When there's multiple offer situations, that gets magnified. And the buyers are transferring all of their frenetic, anxious, scared energy to their buyer's agent, who then transfers it to you. When left to people's own devices, they think the worst.
Really quick, I just kind of wanted to know how you handle negotiations with multiple offers. I have not really had that option until just recently.
Good for you. It's going to be a little long-winded, but I have to explain context first. The first is the reason why it happened is because it was priced right.
Yes, 100%.
Not because of pictures, not because of your amazing marketing strategy or your buyers in Venezuela. It was just priced right. Number two, buying a home is filled with lots of anxiousness and tension, particularly on the buy side. It's definitely on the sell side, but a lot on the buy side. There's a lot of friction, stressful. Now, when there's multiple offer situations, that gets magnified. And the buyers are transferring all of their frenetic, anxious, scared energy to their buyer's agent, who then transfers it to you, the listing agent. So there's a couple things that you can do to mitigate that. The first is immediately when offers come in, send an email saying it has been received. I will be presenting them. And as soon as I have a response, I'll let you know. The speed is important because what ends up happening experientially, in my experience, having done this in high volume for an extended period of time, especially when there's multiple offer situations, when left to people's own devices, they think the worst. So if you don't respond immediately that it's been received, they start to think you're doing something nefarious. Then the calls to your broker come, then the calls to the aggressive. Okay, so anybody who's been selling real estate for any period of time is not in their head. You're just trying to
Totally.
document it. Like, you're just trying to, what are you doing? Like, I'm going to bring you up to the board. I'm going to file a complaint, like all that, right? So the way we mitigate that is immediately you get an email.
Which I already do. I do send them an email immediately and say, I'll show this to my sellers and get back with you. Yeah,
and as soon as I get a response, I'll let you know. And my intention perhaps is to get a response within the next 24 to 48 hours, right? Because there are multiple offers on the table.
Okay.
And sometimes what I would include in the email too is I would say, hey, we do have multiple offers on the table. Just so you know, as of right now, I am not one of them. And that nips that in the bud immediately. Takes it off the table because they're thinking it. We'll be reviewing offers, and within, as soon as I get a hold of the seller, I'll review all offers and I'll get back to you. My intention is to get back to you within the next 24 to 40 hours. And what you're doing is you're setting expectations, you're taking these things off the table, right? That hey, you're trying to do this yourself. Right? Then what I would have Carla do is I would ask her to send me all, to look at, basically very cleanly go through all the offers, tell me the price, closing date, tell me the type of financing, the amount of the down payment, the pertinent things that set the offers apart. Now, we would have situations sometimes where there were 25 offers. So we would go, she'd make this list, and I'd ask her to pull out the top 3 based on price, terms and conditions, and type of financing. Highlight them. And then I would, when I reach out to the seller, I would say something like the following. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, great news is that we have some really exciting, fantastic news. All the marketing really did a fantastic job. We built a lot of buzz in terms of getting ready to put the property on the market. We definitely did our due diligence in positioning the property competitively where people saw value. And as of right now, we do have multiple offers on the table, and that's exciting. Now, believe it or not, we actually had X amount of offers, however it is, 3 or 4. We went through each one of those offers and we pulled out the ones that we would propose are the best as far as price, terms, and conditions. And I like to review them with you so that way you can make the decision that you feel is best, and whatever you decide, I'll support you 100%. Fair enough? Now, if one of those offers did come by you representing the buyer, I would also disclose that and tell them that. So one of these 3, just so you know, we do represent the buyer. My intention in telling you that is just to disclose that to you. I don't want that to influence your decision-making. So you are going to decide which offer you feel is best based on your needs and based on your terms and conditions. If it happens to be the one where we procured the buyer, great. If not, that's perfectly fine too. Now, when you do that and you disclose and you're fully transparent, I've had multiple times sellers say to me, oh, no, I want you to, and you're like, okay. But I've also had other times where they'll be like, okay, but you don't want to ever have them find out that without you telling them up front. Because then also they'll think that you're doing something nefarious, right?
Right, but I don't usually have that issue because I don't represent both sides.
Okay,
so
good.
Doesn't really have that. You could do intermediary, but really it's just dual agency. So I don't even tread those waters. And
Yeah, good. So then, what I would also have is perhaps like and you can create this now. When I was doing it, we would use like Excel, but you can create like an offer matrix. You could probably use Chat or one of these programs to create it, where you could load in the stuff and then just send it to them that you can go over it with them when you call them. And then you can put that in and then send it to them. And then you're like, okay, so here's the 3 offers and here are the terms and conditions. And then I would also have, for me personally, like a recommendation, which I would propose or suggest, right? So it's like, hey, I know that one of these offers is offering a little more. At the same time, it is financed. And the one that's offering cash is about, it's a little bit less. At the same time, you don't have to deal with an appraisal. Now, having looked at the information, the last closed sale sold for this. We are in a marketplace that's experiencing downward pressure. So is it possible that the property would appraise for more than what the last closed sale was? It's possible. Is it probable? I'm not convinced. Versus if we go with the cash, we don't have to deal with any of that. So we have a couple options at our disposal. One is we could just counter the cash offer to see if they'll come up a little bit. Or 2, we could accept it the way that it's written because we know that they would accept that. Now, if we do counter, I need you to know and understand that we start the process all over again, right? So they can either say yes, no, or they can counter back. So whatever you decide to do, I'll support you 100%. So based on that, like, what do you think we should do? Now, if you do this right, what they'll end up saying to you is, Dion, what do you think?
They did say that. Yes,
right.
They.
So if you do it right and you present like not trying to push them some way and be like, whatever you decide, I'll support you. They will ask you like, well, what do you think? And you're like, well, listen, I really appreciate that. I take the trust that you've provided me like very seriously, which is to protect the value of your property and get top dollar. Based on my experience, as an agent, based on these offers that come in, it really seems as though this one would really serve your interest and would help you to net the most and kind of limit your liability and exposure and allow us to close on time. They did put in there that they wanted a 30-day loan commitment. What my suggestion would be is we go back to them and say, hey, we're in agreement with all these terms and conditions. We're just going to make a really small counter back. I would always say that whenever I'm talking to the agents, a very small, reasonable counter back.
Okay. That's
on the loan commitment. I know you guys put 30 days. I know that lenders can do it faster than that. So what we're going to do is request that we put it in for 8 or 18 or 21 days. And this way we'll know that they have the money prior to closing and we're good to go. And then we're also going to request X, whatever that is, like a bigger deposit, whatever it is. Other than that, we're good to go. And it's like, okay, cool. And then you just kind of proceed from there.
Perfect. It did go really well. I'm super excited. And I have to say to everyone here in this group, a lot of that is because I definitely feel that my confidence has increased. I'm not as wishy-washy. Thank you to everyone because it really, really has helped. Like I did something that most agents in Texas don't do. Like they don't do inspections before you put a house on the market. And I just think that that's just opening you up to another negotiation portion once they do the inspections after. So that's one of the things actually we did a little bit differently. We did the inspection prior, put everything into transaction desk so that they knew exactly what was going on with it. And I put in big, bold words, this thing's being sold as is. Don't come at us with negotiation.
Yeah. And then you priced it competitively, which required you to be, again, politely, professionally push back on perhaps what they were thinking and help them to self-discover, right? And I love that, by the way, because it's so cool. Like when people have these victories in the community, I love seeing that. It's like very gratifying. But like the other thing is I love people's responses because it's like they just won an Oscar. It's like, well, first I want to thank my role play partner. And then I want to thank, Chris for sending me the Matrix. And then, I also got to give a shout out, which is great. I think it's awesome.
100%, because that's really the way I feel. I do not think that I would have had this outcome without everybody here and their input and suggestions. And I just love it.
It's awesome, man. Well, teamwork makes the dream work.
So I picked up a listing last week, Probate.
Yeah.
And, he left a lot of stuff behind. They're not from here. They're from Central Florida.
Yep.
And so they wanted my help to take the stuff out, the contents out, and then have it cleaned. I could have put it on lockbox, but they were like, look, there could be sensitive stuff in there. We might need your help to just make sure that there's nothing of value that we missed. And there's also a possibility that there could be a gun in there that we need to manage. So I ended up spending the whole Saturday there.
I love you, bro. That's so crazy. So what you need is
I found the gun.